Do we like my little plant? Am I giving you like Dorothy? I hope so. Maybe Dorothy, who knows? Hey guys, what's up? It's Belle. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hello. If you've come back, thank you so much. Today we're doing a really exciting video because I do get a lot of requests for this particular type of video. So I thought, okay, we're gonna sit down and we're gonna do it. So today we are going to go through all of my books to make you a reader girly. Basically, these are books that I would recommend to you if you want to become a reader girly. So I do have 5 genres today. We are gonna cover romance, dark romance, romantasy, thriller, and LGBTQ+. Because those are the genres that I read. Unfortunately, I don't really read too much plain fantasy, dystopian, sci-fi, things like that. I used to read that a lot when I was younger, but I just don't do that much anymore. However, these are genres that I really, really love and are going to be recommendations that I think are absolute staples if you want to be a reader girly and you want to know what everybody's talking about. So yes, while some of these might be very popular, I don't care. That's the whole point, because I want you guys to know what everybody is talking about. So without further ado, let's get comfy, let's get cozy, and get right on into the video. Okay, so the first genre that I'm going to talk about today is my personal favorite genre, and it is romance. So I do read a lot of romance. I do feel like the ones I'm going to recommend to you are very, very popular, but they're ones that I've personally loved so much and enjoyed, and I think are staples to, you know, what everyone is really loving and talking about at the moment. So let's get right on into them. So this first one is one that I actually recommend to a lot of my friends who haven't really read romance before and just want to like dip their toe into something really light, really fluffy, really spicy. And it is going to be Icebreaker by Hannah Grace. Again, very, very popular. This book follows Nate and Stacy. They do attend the same university. So Anastasia, or Stacy, is a figure skater and Nate is an ice hockey player. So at their university, there are 2 ice rinks. Basically, the hockey boys get into a bit of a debacle and one of the ice rinks gets trashed, essentially. So we're in this predicament where the figure skaters and the ice hockey players are having to share a rink. And from there, we get this really lovely friendship between, it's not even a friendship really. This is a reverse like grumpy sunshine. So when I say that, I'm saying that she's a black cat girl and he's a golden retriever boy, just to give you an idea of their personalities. Anyways, because they are then having to share a rink, these 2 get acquainted with each other, things sort of happen, and basically Nate volunteers to be Anastasia's figure skater partner. And the story goes from there. This is so sweet. I really love this book so much. And like I said, great place to start if you are just getting into romance. The next recommendation that I have for you guys is The Love Hypothesis. And this is by Ali Hazelwood. Now, Ali Hazelwood does have heaps of standalone books. I really do love her books. They're great to get into when you're starting out. When I got back into reading 2 years ago, this was one of the first books that I read. And it's just very, very sweet. This is a workplace relationship again. It is fake dating, which basically means that the 2 of them fake date for purposes of the plot, the storyline, and it is just so cute, so sweet. The spice in it is amazing, and Adam Carlson, like, he'll become one of your favorite book boyfriends of all time. I also feel like you learn a lot from reading Ali Hazelwood's books because she does have, I'll show you them. She does have other books that are all like STEM related, if that makes sense. So we've got like The Love Hypothesis, Love on the Brain, Love Theoretically. They all follow different types of women in STEM. So you do actually like learn a bit from reading these books. I personally did. And I just think they're a great place to start. Now we're going to talk about my personal favorite romance series of all time. And it is the Chestnut Spring series. And this is by Elsie Silver. So for those who haven't heard of this series before, it is an interconnected standalone series. It is small town cowboy romances. There are 5 books in this series in total. Now they're interconnected standalones, which means that they can be read on their own. They just follow the same group of people who know each other that are connected, if that makes sense. These are the most wholesome, beautiful, funny, spicy books you'll ever read. So just to give you a brief overview of each book, the first book is Flawless. This is Rhett and Summer's story. So Rhett is a bad boy bull rider and Summer is his PR agent's daughter who's essentially been sent out to him to help fix his reputation. This is a great forced proximity too, and oh, it's so good. My personal favorite in this series and one of my favorite books of all time is Heartless, which is book number 2. Now this is Cade and Willa. So Cade is a grumpy single dad and Willa is the nanny that he hires to help take care of his son over the summer break. This book is just the most, I can't explain it. I actually cry when I think about this book. It's so beautiful and it's so funny and yep. The third book is Powerless. Now this is a childhood friends to lovers runaway bride between Jasper and Solone. This is a slow burn too. Really like this one. However, our MMC this time round is a ice hockey player, I think. The fourth book is Reckless, and this is between Theo and Winter. I won't say what the trope is because some people want to be surprised, but this one is one of my absolute favorites too. This is a reverse Grumpy Sunshine again, so where our girl is a black cat, boy is the golden retriever, and he is a bull rider as well. And the final book is Hopeless, and this is between Bo and Bailey. This is a fake engagement of convenience, and he's an ex-military man, and this one's the spiciest out of all of them. And my last recommendation for romance is a series that really got me back into reading 2 years ago, and I love it very much. Someone is outside my house gurneying, and I just want to scream. It's driving me nuts. So this series is by one of my absolute favorite authors, and it is the Twisted series by Anna Huang. So as I mentioned earlier with Chestnut Springs, same sort of deal. It's an interconnected standalone series. It follows 4 best friends from college, and each book is one of the girls' individual love stories. So to go through them all, Twisted Love is between Ava and Alex. This is a brother's best friend. So it is between Ava and her brother's best friend, Alex. He's a billionaire. Grumpy Sunshine, really cute. My personal favorite in the series is Twisted Games, which is book number 2. This is between Bridget and Reese. So Bridget is a modern day princess and Reese is her bodyguard. Woo! I want to reread this book so bad. It's so good. It's forbidden romance. Oh, yep. The third book in the series is Twisted Hate, and this is a enemies with benefits. So this follows Jules and Josh. So Josh is Ava's brother, so the protagonist of the first book. Ava's brother, Josh and Jules, and like I said, it is an enemies to lovers, very spicy. And our final book is Twisted Lies, which is between Stella and Christian. So Christian is a billionaire and Stella is an up-and-coming social media personality, and it is fake dating. So the next genre that I want to talk about is actually dark romance. Now, for my personal reading journey, I really hit the road running and read the darkest romance book that I ever could have read. So I really didn't go backwards or forwards. I just went full steam ahead. But in order to recommend you guys a dark romance series to start with that I think is great to dip your toe in the water, just to see how you feel about it, is going to be the Never After series, and this is by Emily McIntyre. So if you haven't heard of this before, these are actually all standalones, but the concept of the series is they are twisted reimaginings of our favorite childhood fairy tales, if that makes sense. So the first book is Hooked, and this is a Peter Pan retelling. You can probably guess by the title. This is a reimagined story between Hook and Wendy. Again, check your trigger warnings for all of these because they are dark romance books, which means they're going to have some dark themes, but I believe this one is also mafia. I read it a while back and I'm pretty sure it's mafia. The second book is Scarred, and this is a Lion King retelling, which is really good. It is enemies to lovers, and I really enjoyed this one, set in more of like an older setting where our main character Tristan is trying to overthrow his brother Michael to get the crown. Same sort of premise of Lion King, and yeah, it's very good. The third book is Wretched, which is a Wizard of Oz inspired retelling. So this one follows the Wicked Witch of the West, and I want to say the Scarecrow. It's Evelina and Nicholas, which is really, really good too, and it's nice to actually get like one of the villains being like a female. The fourth book, which is my favorite, is Twisted, which is a Aladdin retelling, which I loved so much. This one is like arranged marriage, forced marriage, oh, it's so good, and this one's really spicy. And the most current book, there is another one coming later this year. I believe it's called Hexed, which is a Little Mermaid retelling, which I'm so excited for. But the fifth and most recent book is Crossed, and it's a Hunchback of Notre Dame. This one wasn't my favorite, but I still really liked it. It's like a priest book, obviously, and it's a reimagined love story between Esmeralda and the priest. But it's hotter in this, I promise. I'm gonna pull you guys down a bit because my feet are falling asleep. So the next genre that I want to get into is romantasy. Now, like I said, I don't really read like plain fantasy. I need a bit of romance. If there's no romance, like I'm bored, bestie, I'm bored. Let's just get straight on into it, right? So the first book that I would recommend to you, especially because this is the first book that I got into when I was starting romantasy, is Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. Now, you have probably seen every man and their dog talking about this, and it is for good reason, because this is really good. And the reason I say this is because it is extremely easy to understand, it is immediately gripping, and it is really easy to understand. What I mean by that is, did I already say that? For a book that is about 500 pages long, I could not put it down, and I read it in 2 days, which is just insanity. Like, I never do that, right? That's just a tell of how good the pacing is. And another thing that is really good about this is that it's really easy to understand, which means there is not a lot of heavy world building, which can deter a lot of people from reading fantasy. Because I personally know if I'm stuck on trying to understand where we are, what color the grass is, what color the sky is for like 60 pages, I'm bored. This is so easy to understand. The lore, the world, and the romance, you guys. This is an enemies to lovers. And it very much is like if Hunger Games and Divergent had a baby, but with like way more sex. Read it. Now, this is the most popular romantic series in the world, but you gotta read it because I took too long to read it, and like there's something wrong. Okay, A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. This series is so good and it's popular for a reason. Now, I, for some reason, am one of those people that like when people say a book is popular, I'm like, I don't want to read it. And that's what I did for this for way too long. I own the original, like the first book from years ago, bought it, never read it, and how embarrassing. I need a clown nose because I read this earlier this year and it has become one of my favorite things in the entire universe. Like, I just want to cry. I can't tell you too much about what the series is about as a whole, but for the first book, it is a Beauty and the Beast inspired series. We have Feyre, who is our main character, who basically goes and lives with this gentleman called Tamlin to help save her family. And the story sort of goes from there. This has high fae, this has magic, this has amazing, beautiful worlds. The first book's average, and then the rest of the series is immaculate. Read it. And the final series that I'm going to recommend for romantasy is the Letters of Enchantment duology, which is Divine Rivals and Ruthless Vows. This is more of a cozy fantasy, I would say, cozy romantasy, let's say that. It is set in London. I want to say, like, I don't even know what year we are in. Olden day London, can't remember exactly the timelines, but these two are workplace rivals. They work at the same publishing company. Now, these two do own typewriters. However, these are two very special typewriters that neither know are actually magically linked to each other. And basically, they have been sending each other these little messages via the typewriters. There's a plane again. Neither of them know that they are magically linked, and they actually have been sending each other messages for a very long time without knowing that the other is on the other end of each typewriter, if that makes sense. This is so beautiful. It's very sweet, and yeah, the second book ruined me. Okay, so the next genre we're going to talk about is thrillers. Now, I have not read all the thrillers under the sun, but I have read some really, really good ones, and these are the ones that I think you should read if you're getting into it and want to know what everyone's talking about. So the first one, again, might be kind of obvious, and it is Verity by Colleen Hoover. I love this. This is probably my favorite thriller that I have ever read. It's a bit hard to explain. So this follows Loan Ashley. She's an up-and-coming writer. She's really not been able to like catch a break, if that makes sense. But one day she gets called into a meeting in her publishing house and realizes that it's kind of a big deal. The husband of a very, very, very famous writer, her name is Verity Crawford, is basically sitting across from her and says, look, I've read some of your writing. Your writing is very similar to Verity's, who's a very popular author, like I said. And she's just been in a very terrible accident and is unable to continue writing her best-selling series. So what do you think of coming to our house, reading through all of her manuscripts and things, and continuing her series for her? Basically, Loan packs up her life, moves into the Crawford house and starts working through this material in order to write the book, and starts to realize that this house is a little bit creepy, and Miss Verity, Miss Wife, is a little bit creepy too, and some stuff starts going down, and the plot twist is insane. Oh God, I read this so fast. I read it in like 3 hours, or I couldn't sleep. I went downstairs and I told my mum it was just so good. The second book that I'm going to recommend for thrillers is The Housemaid by Frida McFadden, which I just read last month, and I'm so glad that I did because a lot of people talk about it and it's popular for a reason. So this book follows Millie. She's just recently come out of jail and she needs a job, and she rocks up to this beautiful house. We've got the beautiful white picket fence, beautifully mown lawns, very expensive house. And this lady, I forgot her name, Nina, is looking for a housemaid. She just needs a bit of help, right? As all rich people do. So Nina lives with her husband and her daughter. She's probably like 7 or 8, and they just need a bit of help around the house. So Nina hires Millie. It's a live-in position, and basically Millie's room is in the attic where the door only locks from the outside. Yep, crazy stuff. the book, oh, the plot twist, oh, the plot twist. And the final recommendation that I'm going to give to you guys for thrillers is more of like a dark suspense thriller romance, but I just think it fits in this category so well, and more people need to know about it because the people who have read it, you get it. This is the Mind F series by St. Abbey. So these are essentially 5 small novellas. They're around 150 to 200 pages each. I've just bought the paperback, which has all 5 books in one, but you can read them on Kindle Unlimited as well, just individually. They're super easy to get through. This is the story of a serial killer who falls in love with the FBI agent who is working on her case, who is trying to find her. I think if you love Criminal Minds, you will absolutely devour this because there is a lot of meat and backstory in this book about why Lana, our serial killer, is the way that she is. And it's such an insane series. I love it so much. Okay, and because it is Pride Month, we're going to talk about some of my favorite books, and they are fruity books, LGBTQ plus books, because I just love them so much. So the very first series that I'm going to recommend to you guys is such an easy place to start off with because they are graphic novels, and it is the Heartstopper graphic novel series. This is by Alice Oseman. And you've probably seen the television show floating around on Netflix as well because it is just one of the best stories in the entire world. So this series follows Nick and Charlie. They are 2 boys who meet at high school. Charlie is in year 9 and I believe Nick is in year 10. No, 10 and 11. Charlie's in year 10, Nick is in year 11. Charlie is a quietly confident drummer and Nick is a very popular year 11 rugby lad. The two form a friendship and the story goes from there, and it is a beautiful story of friendship and self-discovery and found family. As I said, they are graphic novels, so super easy to get through. They're basically like picture books. So if you're someone who doesn't necessarily want to pick up a novel straight away, I can't recommend these enough. They are just incredible. One of my absolute favorite books of all time. You can see how many editions I have of it up there. Red, White and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston, which is one of the best books ever written in my personal opinion. So this book follows the romance of the first son of the United States and the Prince of Wales. It is an enemies to lovers, and it is just the most fireworks in the sky, glitter in your hair type of royal romance you'll ever read. It is hilarious. There's found family. It is just, oh my God, a little bit of like a political plotline, of course, but it's so good. And I do say this to everybody, if you have seen the film, read the book. It's a completely different experience. It's so much better. The book is just, oh, I love it so much. And the last book that I'm going to recommend for this category is going to be Aristotle and Dante Discover the Secrets of the Universe. And this is by Benjamin Eliasanes. I hope I'm saying that right. I'm so sorry. I read this as well about a year or so ago when I first got back into reading, maybe 2 years ago. And I just absolutely fell in love with it. This follows Aristotle and Dante. They are 2 high school boys who meet each other over the summer at the public swimming pool. And Dante helps Ari learn to swim. Which is very cute. And basically these two form a beautiful friendship. They learn a lot from each other, but also about themselves. And it is the most beautifully poetic written book I think I've read as well. And I think a great place to start. Okay, you guys, that's the end of today's video. Thank you so much for sticking around. I really appreciate it. Like I said, this is a little bit of a beginner's guide and you can take your pick from what genre sort of fancies you first. As always, if you guys don't already follow me on TikTok and on Instagram, you're more than welcome to. I will put the links on the screen here. And if you would like to like this video, comment and subscribe to my channel, you can also hit that notification bell if you want to get notified every time I put up a new video. I'd really appreciate it. But yeah, thank you guys so much wherever you are in the world. I hope you're having a lovely day or a lovely night, and I will see you all next time. Bye. Yes, and